I am consistently blown away by the strength and resilience of the people that I've worked with in my clinical practice. I consider myself to be unbelievably fortunate for the work I've gotten to do, and not just for the great privilege it is to be invited into someone's life at a time when they are really struggling, but also the impact it has had on me. Because when you sit with people who are really exhibiting amazing strength, you start to believe in not only the human spirit, but you start to believe in yourself that much more, and you start to believe what you are more capable of. It's a really amazing and transformative thing. And when I think about how powerful words can be, and when I think about abuse, there's one woman that I saw in my practice that stands out to me. There's one woman that I can't not think about the power of words and abuse without thinking about this particular woman. It was one of the most touching things that ever happened in my therapy practice. One of the most courageous things I ever witnessed. And I want to share it today. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. And what happened with this particular woman, and I can't remember if I've shared this on this podcast before, but it's relevant now, so I'm going to share it here. This was a couple I saw. They came to therapy as a couple. I saw them 2 or 3 times, and there was nothing, alarming to me, or nothing that would let me know that abuse is happening. And to be very honest with you, abuse is a really touchy thing for the psychotherapy world, because if I suspect abuse, and let's just say the woman is the victim of the abuse and the husband is the perpetrator, if I suspect abuse and the husband begins to think I suspect abuse, number one, I've just made that woman's life less safe. And number two, they're probably just going to leave therapy anyway. So after about 3 sessions, I got a phone call from the woman, and she said, can I come see you without my husband? And I said, of course. And she said, does my husband have to know? And I said, yes, because you guys are in the same file. If you want to create an individual file, because it came as husband and wife, so I have to create a chart. So if you want to come as an individual, we could create a separate chart, and then I legally can't tell him. If he happens to call and says, did my wife come see you individually? The only answer I can give is I cannot confirm or deny that, because you would be a separate client at that time. And she said, okay, I want to do that. And she came to therapy and told me that she was experiencing domestic violence at the hands of her husband and has been for years. She told me some horrible stories of black eyes and bruises and really horrible fights and really bad situations. It's been rough for this woman. So what do you do, right? What do you do? So we talk about how to keep her safe. I asked her, what did she want? And she said, I want to be done with this, which is a powerful statement. Did you know that the average woman reports domestic violence 7 times before she leaves? And second, the most dangerous time a woman experiences in the domestic violence is when they decide to leave. So I know, A, this is a very courageous thing that she's doing, saying she wants to leave. And B, she's now in the most dangerous time. So we created a safety plan, and it included getting an old cell phone. I don't know if you guys know this, but an old cell phone, if it just has to be charged, it can still dial 911. Even if it has no cell phone plan attached to it, it can still dial 911. So she got an old cell phone, carried it in her pocketbook, her safety person with her sister, and she needed to be able to call 911 when the time was right, have her sister go pick up her kids, and then they would go to a shelter. And that's what she did, and was able to escape the abuse. I'm still so inspired by the courageous nature of that woman and the way that she saved herself, her children, her family. But the 2 things I want you to take away from this is, number one, you have every right to live in a relationship that is not only fulfilling, but safe. And number 2, there are always things you can do. And the number one thing is these cell phones, even if it's an old phone that doesn't work anymore, if it has a charge, you can still dial 911. and every area has a domestic violence shelter that the perpetrators cannot find because they don't make public, the local cities and counties don't make public where the shelters are, and everyone deserves to be safe. So if you are in a situation like that, please seek safety. There's a whole network of people that are willing to help you and bring you and your family and your kids the type of safety that you deserve. Thanks for being here. If you wouldn't mind doing me a super huge favor, I would love it if you would share this podcast with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And also don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. And also follow me on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can search for my name, Elliott Connie, or at Elliott Speaks. That's my handle across all platforms. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.